Hi everyone, Dana here. I'm just doing my sort of preemptive thoughts on Metroid Samus Returns. I've had the game for about a week. It's already been out for a week, and there are already several reviews out for it, but I just wanted to do my take on it so far. I haven't actually beaten the game yet, so these are my initial thoughts. So far, I'm having an absolute blast with Metroid Samus Returns. Right off the bat, the game looks absolutely beautiful, and I actually went back and played the original Metroid 2 Return of Samus, and the upgrade was astounding. Like, the colors, the effects, just the vibrant environments, it looks great. While I do miss the 2D hand-drawn sprite animations that we saw in, like, Metroid Zero Mission to some extent, there's no question that this game really does pop on the 3DS. And I haven't really played it with the 3D on much, but I've heard it's cool. I'm not much of a 3D player on 3DS myself. But the game really does look great. The textures can be a little bit blurry at times, and there's a few, obviously, jaggy pixels as you're going to get in 3DS games, but overall, it looks like a Metroid game, and it still looks very vibrant and colorful, and really adds to the atmosphere, and the game really does look like a Metroid game, and I think that's just terrific. The sound design for the game is also really good. The music itself is good, but not like the best soundtrack in the Metroid series. Most of it is taken from Metroid 2, but there are a few sound key moments that are taken from Prime and Super Metroid as well. A lot of the remixes of Norfair and whatnot. Now, there's one song from Metroid 2 that is redone and really stands out that is really good. The rest of the music is very atmospheric, but not necessarily super memorable or catchy, which obviously Metroid music is always outstanding. But like the sound effects themselves, like the way Samus's arm cannon shoots and just the enemy noises, like the Metroid shrieks, it's all top-notch, don't get me wrong. Now, the controls for this game are overall terrific. It took me a little bit of time to fully get used to the controls, and some of the mapping is a little confusing, but I got the hang of it to the point, and it's more or less second nature at this point. Samus moves very fluidly. She moves, obviously, in all directions. You can aim in all directions now, which is great. It's not just aiming in, like, 6 directions. You can literally, like, move Samus's arm cannon around, and it feels like a natural evolution of the 2D Metroid formula. And, obviously now there's a little melee attack that Samus can use, which you can use depending on the circumstances. It's sort of a cost-benefit analysis because it's harder to pull off, but when you do, it's really satisfying. You can take the enemies out a lot quicker, especially like the Metroid bosses, and you're going to be fighting a lot of these. I still have about 7 or 8 Metroids to get before I've gotten them all, and then I'm almost done with the game. But, like, so far, like, I've actually really liked the game, and I feel like this is... I was a little worried when this being a Metroid 2 remake, it's all about hunting the Metroids, but, like, the Metroids, somehow fighting them doesn't really get stale to me. Like, there's always, like, different scenarios of fighting them. Like, you're in a different environment. Like, you might be in sort of just a regular sort of soil environment. You might be in a water or fire environment the next time. And so there's different scenarios that make them interesting to fight over again. And they also evolve. Like, you start fighting sort of just the regular Metroid evolutions, but then you start fighting Metroids that are a lot bigger and have a lot more variety of attacks. So it keeps the challenge up the more you progress through the game, and I feel like the game also has that right mix of non-linearity and progression. Obviously, there is some linearity in that you have to defeat a certain number of Metroids to get to the next area, but you can also, like, travel around the world and find power-ups and different power-ups and items that help you progress through your journey. And it's really quite a lot of fun to just sort of wander around the world and just find all these different like energy tank power-ups, missile power-ups, super missile power-ups, and now Samus has this new Ion ability. Basically what the Ion ability is you have certain powers, like you can scan around, sort of like Metroid Prime, but in 2D. You can scan around and look for, like, cracks in the wall to, like, bomb in your morph ball mode, or use your missiles to blow up, or you can, like, get something that temporarily makes Samus invincible, or something that sort of makes her OP, sort of like, gives her sort of a hyper mode power, kind of like in Metroid Prime 3 of sorts. So it's sort of like has an amalgamation of different Metroid games in it, and overall, I really like it. I feel like to some extent, it can sort of like make the sense of discovery a little less, aha, like yes, I got that. Like in a game like Super Metroid, like when you found something, you really felt rewarded because you really did it yourself. Whereas this one, I sort of like it because it sort of means I'm not gonna get stuck for like 4 hours trying to solve like a hard puzzle. But on the other hand, like it feels maybe a little less rewarding because I was sort of using an in-game guide or helper to sort of help me discover or solve a problem. But that's not to take away from like the overall game. And like I feel like the Ion ability like can definitely like it goes by really fast, so you're definitely gonna want to keep your eye out to make sure you don't abuse it, because it is very easy to abuse, which I feel like it does help balance out the game. But on the other hand, it sort of makes it so you don't use some of the other powers unless you really, really need to, which it would have been cool to sort of be able to like use some of them a little bit more, but I mean, they were obviously trying to balance out the game's difficulty. Now, there's a lot of backtracking in this game. It is a Metroid game after all, and that's just a part of the Metroid formula. And overall, it does it really well. There's a few instances where it's gotten a little bit annoying, and I've just, not really known where to go, and just been frustrated because I was, like, trying to find this Metroid or find this, like, thing that I needed to progress through the game, like, find this power-up, like, I needed, like, the Varia suit to go into the fire sections, but I didn't really know that. See, like, I'm sort of like, I like a solid middle ground between having enough direction to help me, not, get annoyed by traveling around the world, but, like, also, still having enough, sense of independence and freedom to still, like, enjoy the sense of isolation. And overall, I think Metroid Samus Returns, which is a remake of Metroid 2, does do a very solid job of that. Now, I want to talk just a little bit about the controversy that AM2R, which was a fan remake, and yeah, it really does stink that Nintendo shut it down, but I guess I can kind of understand the logic because they were probably working at this game at the same time. That said, the creator of that remake has basically said that, if you really care about Metroid, you should get this game, and I do. Like, if you want to see more Metroid games in the future, there's really no reason why you shouldn't support this game. Like, that'll send Nintendo the message that us Metroid fans want to see Metroid stay, and overall, it's looking like at least 2D Metroid is here to stay, and thank goodness we finally have a real Metroid game after 10 years since the last Metroid game, and more than that, since the last, what I'd say, legitimately great Metroid game being Metroid Prime 3. Like, I can say Metroid is back, and you don't want to miss this one, and I haven't beaten it, and I can already say, like, go out and buy this game if you're a Metroid fan, and even if you're not, go get this game and see if it'll get you into the series. I am having tons of fun with this game so far. It's everything, just about everything I could want in a 2D Metroid game. It's not perfect, but it's still a fantastic game so far, and I'm definitely going to review it when I finish the game. So, yeah, I give it a thumbs up. Thanks for listening to my thoughts on Metroid 2 Samus Returns. Metroid Return of Samus. Which, by the way, doesn't really feel that... it follows the same basic plot as Metroid 2, but it almost feels like a standalone game, which is pretty amazing. But, yeah, that's all I have to say about this, so... see you next time!